Jai Guru, everybody. Welcome to today's lecture on the sixth Sikh Guru, Guru HarGobind. Did you go to the other ones? Good. Nice. Do you remember them? Good. It's also good to go and to remember something. We decided last time, I think it was Navaratri, too many events, I don't actually remember when it was, but we decided to talk about the Sikh Gurus because Guruji talks about them. And at the time, Sahadev asked a question to everyone and he said, how many of the 10 Gurus did Guruji talk about and mention during his Guru Gita program this summer? 6, 4, 5, 108? 10, all 10. He spoke about all 10. He mentioned all of them. And many of the bhajans that he's singing lately, especially, since a long time already, are from the Guru Granth, that is the living Guru. The scripture that is actually the living Guru of the Sikhi and Sikhism and all the people who are following that faith. And therefore we decided to give these talks to explain some of them. We started, again, I believe during Navaratri, when we did Guru Nanak, that is the founder of this faith, this approach, this way of living, this culture, this way to see God and to live. And Sadev did the one on Guru Nanak, you can find it on YouTube. Then we made the prominent ones or the main ones we could talk more or that Guruji mentioned the most. So we did Guru Nanak, we did the Guru prior Guru HarGobind, the 5th one, we did Guru Arjan Dev, and then we did the 10th Guru, that is Guru Gobind Singh. Yeah. I gave the lecture on Guru Gobind Singh, given that he's so connected to his father, that was the 9th Guru, that is Guru Tegh Bahadur. That lecture, if you go and look for it, they're both explained there. So we did 4, and now we're doing 5 more, and then we will have to do 1, I think. It's the only one who stayed out. So tomorrow Swami Revati will come. No, tomorrow? Anyway, he will come and give the next one, and then we'll finish this cycle. So some of these gurus wrote a lot. They wrote, they composed, and it was a lot. With Guru HarGobind, we don't have that much because he was very busy fighting. Very, very busy fighting. So just as a reminder, I don't know if all of you can see it, but the succession of the gurus in Sikhism with Guru Nanak starting first in 1469, and then you have the next one, his disciple, you have Guru Angad, that Guru Amar Das, Guru Ramdas, Guru Arjan, the one we're doing today, Guru HarGobind, then with Swami Revati you will do Guru Har Rai, then you have Guru Har Krishan. The ones that you can find on YouTube also is Guru Tegh Bahadur and Guru Gobind Singh. And from there on, from 1708 on, the next Guru and let's say eternal Guru of Sikhism became the scripture, the actual compilation of everything that they said, plus many other saints from Hinduism and some Sufis also. Clear, this concept? Okay, we're still Hindus, we talking, but we want to explain what they did, why Guruji mentions them, and also draw some parallels between their teachings and what they wrote and the devotion they had, and what Guruji tells us and what Guruji says, so that we can understand why he keeps mentioning them. Because some people were wondering after a while, why do we talk about Sikhism? Yeah. Why is Guruji mentioning all these gurus that are not Hindus? And so we wanted to help. And actually the fact of presenting them all came from Guruji later on. When he knew that we presented 3 of them, he said, you should do them all. We're trying to understand whether he meant do them all these 10 or do them all the one that are in the Guru Granth. We're still trying to interpretation, trying to understand what he actually meant. So when we talk about Guru HarGobind and we talk about his early life, he was born in 1595 and he became the 6th Guru at the age of 11. Okay, we already When we talk about Guru Gobind Singh, the last one, he became Guru when he was 9, and now we're talking about someone who becomes Guru at 11. I don't know what you were doing when you were 11. I wasn't thinking or I wasn't able it was so out of my mind to be able to take care of, and you will see, such a messy situation where you need to be super courageous, strong, and inspire everybody at 11. And he's known as Miri Piri Guru because he symbolized the temporal and spiritual authority. We will see why Miri Piri, because it happened during his initiation when he became the Guru, that he made a specific choice. So after his father's martyrdom, he emphasized the need for Sikhs to protect their faith. If you didn't watch it, or if you don't know the story, go and look for it, because Guru Arjan Dev, his father, was he went through some agonizing, crazy things at the end of his life when he had to meet the emperor, because he was called to the emperor. And he was killed in a very bad way. He was made suffer. It's a really intense situation. And before he left, when he was summoned to the emperor, he was summoned to the Emperor Jahangir, that was the king of India at the time. It was the Mughal Empire. He knew what was going to happen. So in that moment, before he leaves to go to the emperor, he looks at his son, that is 11, and says, "You will be the next Guru." And then he leaves because he knew he was going to die and he was going to become bad. And he also told him what to do. He told him, do not make any miracles and build an army. Okay. Don't show miracles, don't show yourself doing miracles, and build an army. Very strong army, because you will need to be armed, because you will need to defend yourself, because you will be attacked. The Mughal Empire will attack you. Before that emperor, Jahangir, there was his father, was Akbar, and Akbar was a very, let's say, open king. He was much open than his son. Even if you look at the reports of his son, he was also not such a close king. And the fact is that the father of HarGobind and Arjan Dev was not even killed because King Jahangir decided to call him and say, "I will end you," but just because there was a dispute, because there was one of the generals, one of the commanders of the empire, that wanted to marry the daughter with HarGobind, so the son of Arjan Dev. But because of the way he was spoken to, and he was very disrespectful, and also because of cultural differences and the decisions that Arjan Dev made, he refused. And this specific personality was very angry about it and tried anyway to bring him to the emperor and kill him. And that was the reason why then he ended up dying. Yeah. In a very bad way. So HarGobind happens to become Guru in this transition of the Sikh tradition and the culture, where it's not about them being able to express in whatever way was possible at the time their faith and their way of living, but he has to transition into a more aggressive approach, not so much as attack him, but to be able to defend. This has to be really important, because he has to organize, as he does, a Sikh army, and he prepared the community for resistance against the oppression. At the moment, he was going to be consecrated as the Guru and taking the seat of Guru Nanak, because in Sikhism, these 10 Guru, you say that they got the light of Guru Nanak inside of them in the succession. Yeah, so they became that Guru with that essence. And in the moment he went there, and it was the procedure was happening of making him the Guru, he asked to be given also 2 swords, Miri and Piri, as was written here. Miri is temporal power, and Piri was a spiritual authority, because he found the need to show them that you needed the power, the material power, the one in this world, about not being subjugated by others and not being stepped on by the others. So you need the courage, strength in this world, and at the same time, the wisdom, the values of spirituality. So he shows both of them. And then when he makes a speech to all of them, he tells them, don't come to me to just bring me offerings and gifts. He says, come to me and bring horses, weapons, and your service. He's 11. It's very clear what he has to do. He knows what he has to do. And he says, we have to arm ourselves because things are going to get bad. And they do actually get really bad. There are mainly 4 battles that he fought. There were 4 battles that are important that then set up all the next battles that will come later on. And when you will listen to the next gurus, you will see how much more bloody the situation becomes and how much more fights and battles and this need to defend themselves there is going to be, because the next emperors, next kings of the Mughal Empire after Jahangir are not good. The sons that come after the descendants are very much against any other culture than their own. And so if you're not a Muslim, they will be very against you. And so all these fights happen to be, and there's a lot of blood and suffering and a lot of people died. And the beauty of what he did is that they became super strong. They became really strong, and he created these ballads, these songs, to inspire everybody to be courageous, to be strong, and even the children were getting into that. And so they became very strong, and his own son, the youngest, that then will become Guru Tegh Bahadur, he will become himself a guru. The first battle that he fought, he was 14. So he was the youngest. At the time he went and he fought at 14, it was so clear that you had to fight and you had to defend what you had. It's a very specific way to approach, and the beauty of reading these stories, I really advise you to do it, is because it gives you so much great introspection for yourself to see how strong am I in my belief, how strong am I in my faith. Am I ready to die for what I believe in? Am I ready to go against armed people? Am I ready to be boiled alive? Am I ready to be burned alive? Am I ready to be thrown on top of me like burning sand? Sit on boiling things? Am I ready to endure all this pain and suffering and all these problems for what I believe in? That's a good question. That's where this brings you a lot. And last night I was with Swami Vishwaakashananda for hours. Sometimes we do this very long conversations. We don't plan them, we just meet and then we talk for a long time. And there's a recurring theme that we both bring up many times, that is, if you ask me right now, will you stand in the moment of need close to your guru? I'll tell you yes. Will you stand close to Bhakti Marga? Yes, I'll tell you yes. But I'm also healthy now. I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm young, I don't have problems. But when you have problems, sicknesses, I don't know if you have ever been sick, very sick. Mentally, you're not that stable. You're much weaker. Your thought processes, your negativity, everything you're going through is much weaker than what you have right now. Sitting here in this temple, looking around, you're seeing all these people. There are these moments of solitude when it's just you, your weakness. How strong is your faith? And that's the beauty of these stories, these saints, these martyrs, and that's what we were talking last night about, is these great saints and personalities were so ready to go through whatever because of what they believed. It's amazing. Children, 14 years old, and everybody else just went and fought for the others. They didn't even fight only for themselves and what they believed, but for the freedom of others. And there is this concept of putting the others in front of you always. And it's just, the nice thing about these lectures, I believe, is seeing the commonalities between what Guruji says and what they say, but also this introspection that it allows us to do on how strong are we? Because if you look at it, I know that some of you don't even talk about their spiritual life outside because you're scared of judgment, because you don't know if you will be accepted. I'm not saying all of you, but I know some of you, for you, already the non-acceptance of others is enough not to bring out what you believe in, everything that you say your life is about. And I don't say this as a judgment. I just say this as a comparison. Look at this, and then look at us. And if you say, I am like this, great. I am happy for you. But I know I'm not. Not at that level. This is next level. This is next level. So, just to go back on this, I didn't want to depress anybody. That was not my purpose. It was just, that's why we really like to do this. Maybe, I don't know, me and Neruda maybe are masochists because of this. I don't know, but we look at these stories and we think, wow, which is wow. And you feel this. Yesterday, I was telling him what he's about and what he did and what the others did, and I told them what they endured. And when Guru Tegh Bahadur comes and the way his closest friends and disciples are killed in front of him, and they just stand there, burnt alive, staring at him, no problem. That's what I believe. I'm not going to change my belief. I love you. I focus on you. And you go. It's beautiful. It's super beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So to defend all this system and to make it so that all the Sikh community and everybody could experience their faith, he makes this clear statement, having these two swords, saying, I want Miri and Piri. I want this temporal power and this spiritual power. I want to bring these two things both in the system so that we're clear in the world, we know where we stand, we can all get together, let's become strong. And that's how then all the Sikhs from different sides of India, then they join and they start to become such a stronger community than they were before, in the sense of like, this is what we believe and we're going to defend what we believe in. As the last point says, they engage in battles against the Mughal forces to protect the Sikh community and their principles. That's the main point. He didn't write so much, as I said. Actually, there's nothing written by him on the Guru Granth. But we will see later on in the second part of the lecture something that his father was saying. And the reason why I put Guru Arjan Dev quotes is because that's how they grew up. For them, for him, his guru was his father and he was God. That was everything for him. It was Nanak himself. So he learned from him, and everything else that he brought later on in his life was based on these teachings. He was known for balancing a warrior's strength with a saint's compassion. He was very compassionate. He was very learned. When he became the guru, when he was 11, that he was trained in everything. He was trained in warfare, but he was also in many more cultural things, so that he was able to lead everybody. And he had that great personality, but the compassion of a great personality, the compassion of a saint. He wasn't just going around and murdering everybody. No, he had very sharp intellect, sharp decisions, strong roots and understanding in what to do and how to do it. That's the real strength. And at one point in his life, he was imprisoned for 1 year. For around 1 year, he was imprisoned because they got to know some of the people around the emperor. They got to know that he was getting armed, that he was creating these battalions, that he was ready to actually fight. They got to know it, and they said he's becoming dangerous. And so they imprisoned him in one of the forts. And he was inside there with other 52 kings that were imprisoned in the same fort, and then he was giving satsang to them, and he was preaching to them, basically explaining to them things. And then they were hundreds of miles away and kilometers away from him, but the Sikhs were traveling all that place just to go there and to offer prayers to him and to see him. That was the devotion that they had for the Guru. And then they were just going back, arriving to the fort, giving their prayers, maybe having a glimpse if possible, and then they were just leaving to bring that support because they really wanted to see him. And then at one point, there was one of the chancellor around there, one of the people from the fort and close to the emperor, that saw that he was imprisoned, and he also knew how the situation was with the father and knew how dangerous it could have become, the situation. And so there was Saint Mir that was a Sufi. He was a Sufi saint at the time, was a great personality of Sufism. And he liked a lot Guru Nanak and what they were saying. He even knew some of the verses by heart of what Guru Nanak was saying, and he was telling those verses to some of his students and some of his disciples. And so he managed to talk to Jahangir, he talked to the emperor, and they finally brought him out of the fort after 1 year. But when he was going out, he said, I want to go out, but with a condition, I want to bring the kings with me. And so the emperor said, okay, you can bring them out, but only the ones who will manage to grab a piece of your cloth. And so I don't have a picture of how he did it, but he managed to create like this specific cloth that could be grasped by everybody. So all the kings managed to take it, and he managed to go out of the fort with all of them. So he freed them all. It was, of course, politically very important. We have to, not just philosophically here, we have to look at, when we look at history, we have to think at how important it is for a guru that is becoming an institution inside a Mughal empire. Yeah? So they have an empire that is based on their religion, their mentality, their philosophy, their way of living, with little allowance here and there for the others to practice their faith, but always less after Akbar, and even during Akbar it wasn't that big. And now you have a guru that is creating an army, that is behaving like a king. That's why at one point they call him the true king. So he behaves like a king, he lives like a king. They treat him as a king. He has an army. He's building a empire of his own inside your empire. Is becoming dangerous. And it's not only that, you bring him in a fort with other kings of other places, and he frees them all. Politically, if you were, let's say, the counter side, you'd be thinking, it's becoming dangerous. Yeah? And so the alarm is very high, but as we said, they are not attacking. They're not the first one attacking. They're not going to them to kill them. It's important to understand this part. As we said, he was advocating for this life of humility, service, discipline, these main concepts and morals of the Sikh tradition. They are always about helping the others. It was always about accepting everyone. You might know that they offer food for 24 hours to them in their temples. We went with Guruji, I was telling last time, we went with Guruji, you sit down, they're super sweet, they give food to everybody, everybody sits on the floor because everybody is the same. You can be of any faith, you can come from anywhere, they will feed you, they will give you vegetarian food. And again, the vegetarian idea was just because they could put together the Muslim and they could put together also the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Jains and the Buddhists, because they're all about accepting the others. They were not making separation. The concept from Guru Nanak, and that what went down to all the other gurus and what they still believe to this day and they practice, is that there is one God, but has many names. That's what they believe. And they actually really embody that teaching. And of course, there is the concept of seva, serving, helping others, and giving. Helping. The Sikhs around the world are known because they're always ready to help. Yeah, there are many videos of just random Sikhs that are passing by and they see somebody in need and they just stop and they help people. It's in their mentality. That's how they grew up. And in a way, they become these military saints. In a way, they're defending their faith. And at the same time, we have to understand they're not just defending their own tradition and culture. They're defending also everybody else, the Hindus and every other faith that is happening at that time in India as well. has to be understood. This point, the second one, is very important: to stand against injustice. He encouraged the Sikhs to live with dignity and stand against injustice. This is very important because Guruji is teaching us the same. Guruji is teaching us to be strong in what we believe. We should not have people just stepping on top of us. We have to be tolerant. We have to listen to people. We have to accept them. But he also wants us strong. So that's why when you read these stories and you look at what Guruji is teaching, of course, it doesn't tell us take the weapons and just go and get ready to kill people who want a discount at the Bhajan Cafe. That's not what's going on. But he says, very seriously, stand for what you believe in. And there you will see how sure and strong you are in your belief. Yeah, how much ready you are to stand up for it. How okay you are showing it to others. And then actually be judged by that. But the strength of staying there. That's why it's so nice. There's not much philosophy, as we said. He didn't say much, but he managed to bring strength into people's mentality, to make them realize that's what you need, that's the courage you need, that's where you have to stand. You have to be strong in what you believe, because it's beautiful, because it's nice. You don't have to impose it on the others, but it's beautiful that you believe that. That's what he put into the mentality of all of them, and all the Sikhs later on with the other gurus, and then that's how they went to fight, and that's why they were so strong, because their mentality was so powerful, their belief was so powerful. That's why we're okay to be killed and walled alive. The two sons of Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th one, when they're captured by the emperor Aurangzeb looks at them and asks them, because I don't remember if they're 3 or 5 or 5 and 7 years old. One is 3 or 5 and the other is 5 or 7. And he asks them, what would you do? Because he wants to send them away because they're kids. And he tells them, what would you do if I send you home? And they say, we would take our weapons, bring our friends, and come and kill you all. So King Aurangzeb looks at them and says, okay, I'm going to wall you alive. And he puts them in a wall and just walls them alive. Bricked. That's intense. The second point is important on everything we're saying. His leadership paved the way for future gurus to establish the Sikh community as a distinct and sovereign identity. The more the time passed by, the more they became, and they had that identity of Sikhs. He left in 1644. So if you look at how much he was a guru for, and we'll go to the slide, this one. If we look at Guru Nanak was the first guru for a long time, from 1469 to 1539 is a pretty long time to be the guru. So he has this great amount. And then if you look at the others, from 1539 to 52, from 52 to 74, 74, 81, 81, 1606, and then you have this moment with Guru HarGobind when he goes from 1606 to 1644. So he's the guru for 38 years. Yeah, it's a pretty long time. And his 38 years helped shape this very strong identity, dignity, strength, courage, and military power that they had. They were really powerful and scary and strong. Big weapons and strong. Before we go on the teachings, that I'm just going to show some of the things that Guru Arjan Dev, his father, said, and some of the things that Guruji says, so that we can see these parallels. During those battles, for example, in the first one, they didn't even trigger the battle in the sense that they went to the Mughal Empire and they fought by themselves. They were hunting in the forest and they had their crows going and finding the prey. There were also some of the soldiers from the Mughal Empire were hunting, and they end up to get their birds. So they get their crows from them. And when the soldiers go to them and say, give them back, they just say no. And this is enough for them to bring an army of 7,000 people to try and slay them. And that was the first battle. Yeah? And that's how they fought, and they won. Then second, third, and fourth battle, again, they were winning all the time. And that's where the situation started to become a little bit more intense. And again, I really invite you to just read a little bit about the stories. There's an amazing repository, whether you go on YouTube, and there are many channels from them talking about their life, and there's teachings, or you go on Sikhiviki. Yeah, it's a great place. And also, if just to be clear, we tried our best to learn, and we watched endless videos, we read endless things, we looked at everything that Guruji said about them, and we found some books, and so we tried our best to know about them. And so we don't mean, if we made any mistakes, we didn't mean it, and we apologize. But now that we go on the teachings, as I said, given that he didn't write anything, it was very complicated to bring you something more concrete about him specifically. But I can bring you what he embodied, having the light of Guru Nanak. Because for them, in the moment you become the Guru, you become Guru Nanak. That's what you are. You're seated on the throne of Guru Nanak. And so everything that they said is basically what he said, because that's the essence that is awakened inside. And in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, in the Ang 100, it talks about the grace of the saint. And it says, just as the darkness is lit up by the lamp, and people are filled with bliss upon meeting their beloved, so is my mind imbued with the Lord's love. The saints have set me upon the Lord's path. By the grace of the holy saint, I have been attuned to the Lord. How many times Guruji tells us to read the stories of the saints, to know about them, to be inspired by them. And he doesn't even tell us to look at only Hindu saints. And these lectures are the example. He himself tells us, learn about their life. I remember 6 years ago when we were traveling in India, and he himself was telling us these stories to all the pilgrims who were there. He was explaining these stories. He was saying, look at their courage, look at their faith. Because the Guru Bhakti of Sikhism is super hardcore. They're mega super Guru Bhaktas. The Guru is everything. And that's already the similarity you can draw with us. For us, the Guru is everything. For them, the Guru is everything. It's so beautiful how much they love the Guru. And all the Gurus that they had, and the Guru Granth as the embodiment of the Guru. They treat that in the West, people who don't know might say is a book. But you can't say to them that this is a book. We don't believe it's a book. The Guru Granth is the living Guru, is the living word of what all these great saints and their Gurus said is alive. And how much is Guruji emphasizing satsangs? His satsangs. Listen to the Sadguru's satsangs. Because they're alive. When you listen to his speeches, or I don't know if you meet some people who tell you, and they say, when I listen to your Guru, there's something is happening. Even if he talks about very easy things, something is happening. And that's what's happening, is this, they're alive. They're real. And he said, when I will leave, because one day even Guruji will leave, let's hope down the line, it's a very long line. But in the moment he's not going to be here anymore, satsangs would be his legacy. That's what he leaves for all of us. He's talking all the time. When he wanted to talk about the Shandilya Bhakti Sutra the first time, he wanted to do it in the garden, and just out of nowhere, just called us. We had a plan, the famous plan that then Guruji will find his way to destroy. We had a plan of him doing it later on, so we could do the translation, we could publish the book, and we could do everything that we did right now. But he called us and he said, I want to give a Shandilya Bhakti Sutra today afternoon. I was like, and we stopped him. Not, you cannot stop him, but the thinking mind was like, we have to make the book, we need a translation, that's the copyright issue. And we just told him these things, and he got really upset because he just wanted to bring out to whoever was there in whatever translation possible what he wanted us to know for the future. It wasn't that much about the book, it wasn't about the translation. That's why he doesn't care about these mundane things. That's where we get lost. He just wanted to bring out the truth that is inside of him, and he just wanted us to know, so that it can be recorded and be used later on. And so in a way, even without wanting it, we stopped him. He was very upset, and he took just a few people at the time, put them here in the temple, and he was just giving a satsang to just a few of them. And then he decided to do it for everybody, and then we filmed it, and we made the book, and it was really nice. But the teaching that day for me was, there is this living truth that he wants to give us, and whether he gives it to 3 of us in a room, or he gives it to thousands of us like he did for the Guru Gita, that's what really matters. He wants that message to go out and then to be spread and to be the legacy that he leaves once he's not here anymore physically, so that that can be the living embodiment of him in the place of satsang. And that's how I understand the love and the devotion and how they look at the Guru Granth, is that living embodiment of the Guru, is the Guru. And when here he talks about the saints, and then for us, the greatest saint for us is the Sadguru. And Guruji also talks about the darkness and how to remove it. And he says, just as darkness can be removed only by the light and not by any other means, in the same way, the ignorance in the mind also can be removed only by the true knowledge of bliss given by the Sadguru. Is that ignorance that we have inside, that darkness, and I always remember, it's one of my favorite talks Guruji gave. He said it many other times, but the first time I heard it was in South Italy. We were in Bari. He was giving a talk, and he said, it's like when you go in a cave that has been in the darkness for hundreds of thousands of years, and you light a lamp. When you light the lamp, just in that split second when you turn on the lamp, hundreds of thousands of years of darkness are dispelled immediately. And that's the beauty of being with the saint. That's the beauty of what the Guru can do. The Sadguru is that light. He was traveling in Italy when he did this tour now, and he kept talking about that. The Sadguru is that light that is on, and he can turn our light on. Thus, to remove the darkness of what? At the end, of ignorance. Because again, in this 6-hour conversation with Swami Niruddha, where we always went back to was, I don't know myself. It's not even that I don't know him, that's next step. That's a completely different step. I don't actually know me. And every scenario that we built, every situation, whether they go good or whether they go bad, we analyzed it and we realized there's always our ego. Constantly this identity that goes on top of the true identity that I don't know yet, because there is still darkness. How do you remove it? With the association of the saints. Yeah. So the Guru Granth, just as the darkness is lit up by the lamp and people are filled with bliss upon meeting their beloved, so my mind imbued with the Lord's love. The saints have set me upon the Lord's path. By the grace of the holy saint, I have been attuned to the Lord. Yeah. They help you to get back in that tune and to bring back the light where the darkness is. And Guruji, again, just because it's nice to read it again, is one of his tweets. Just as darkness can be removed only by the light and not by any other means, in the same way the ignorance in the mind also can be removed only by the true knowledge of bliss given to the Sadguru. And the final point on this teaching, and then there's the last one. The final point here is that, can you give something you don't have? You cannot. You cannot. So find the one that can give it to you, and then just follow what he says. And it's beautiful to say, it's beautiful to hear it, it's just so complicated. When you go and rewatch the lectures, watch the one that Vrishaparva was doing on Guru Arjan Dev, on his father, because he has a moment where he's sent in Lahore, he's sent away from his Guru and father, Ramdas. He's sent away, and he follows what the Guru is saying. He has other two brothers, but the other two brothers don't do it. One, because he doesn't want to lose what he might gain to be close to him. Yeah, one of his fathers, of his sons, doesn't want to lose the opportunity to become the Guru. Desire, attachment. Just want to be a Guru. If you send me hundreds of kilometers away, what if you pass away? I'm not there to become the Guru, and I want to be the Guru. I want power, I want position. Yeah. The other one didn't care about it that much, so he just didn't want to go. And then the Guru goes to the son and disciple and says, I want you to go there. I want you to go far away from me. I want you to go in a place where there are not so many others that are like you. I want you to just be there until I tell you that you can come back. It's not that comfortable, it's scary, it's bad, but the Guru tells you to do something and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. And he does it. So it's about listening to that, because if he has that light and he knows how to bring it to you, we have no idea in which ways he's going to bring it to us. But if you analyze, so many times we try to overimpose how we think. Constantly. It's frustrating. Like our conversation last night was beautiful, me and Anirudh, but it was frustrating. Because you analyze, it's like, and I advise you to do it. We were talking about that also, like find someone you can talk about these things, yeah, that you know is not going to judge you, you know is not going to want to harm you when you speak to him. Be clear that you don't want to harm someone else, but find someone, even more than one if you manage, where you can actually take it out and bring it to the table and tell them, I'm so arrogant. My God, look at this. And build a relationship where the other person can look at you and say, yes, it's true. Without wanting you to suffer, but just because he loves you and says, it's true, and you know what? You forgot that. And he just adds it on top. Yeah, and we spend hours and hours and hours, and it's so useful. I tell constantly when I travel, new people, experienced devotees, everybody, find someone or more than one person you can open up and tell your things and ask for feedback. What do you think? What do you think? I don't get it. And you just open up, and then it's a conversation about how do you live the relationship with Guruji. Because again, it's not even just as much what you can gain, but just to be there to listen also. It's not because you can get something. Just open up at another possible experience, another possible way to have that Guru Bhakti. Yeah? And so last night I shared some things that are the opposite of what he experiences. But when I was saying those things, I had goosebumps. I was getting there again in that the way I experienced that love, the way I experienced the love of the Guru, the love of God. And I know he doesn't have it in that way. I'm not going to tell you the opposite, but almost. And the point there was not to find, oh, what can I say? It was about, you should just listen. And I tell you this specifically because we both then shared it. There's a part of the mind that immediately tries to either relate to or to say something on top, to make it mine or more me. The more you experience these type of relationships, the more you learn to have that thought to try to put you again in something that is not actually your business. And when you realize it, you can step back and you just stay there. And you listen, you feel, you remember. It's nice. It's nice. So it's beyond the lecture. It's just... but in a way, because saint is a very strong word, but devotees is enough for us. There are not that many saints that we have the opportunity to hang out with. In Germany, there are not too many saints. It's not in your country, but they're not like, I can't find them at the corner and say, oh yeah, let me go to Wiesbaden a second. So it's about the devotees are learning to find this beauty inside of them, and then also to build those relationships, because some of the darkness can be dispelled indirectly by the Guru because of something that people close to you can tell you. And this happened to me many times. Many of the teachings of Guruji that I received are not directly from Guruji. I got them from other stories. Some of you even here told me, some of you told me your dream, it was so beautiful that it just shaped ways that I think and I act. Because it was so beautiful. It just makes a lot of sense. It's wonderful. And then again, given that we spoke about the satsang and ending, is the Guru's word. So in the Guru Granth, in the Yang 101, the one after the one that we read earlier, they're both from Guru Arjan Dev, from his father. He says, whoever drinks this in is satisfied, this name. Whoever obtains the sublime essence of the Nam becomes immortal. The treasure of the Nam is obtained by one whose mind is filled with the word of the Guru's Shabad. The importance of the satsang. That's what I wanted to end with. And we touched upon it earlier. How important it is to listen to what Guruji says, to remember what Guruji says, to keep listening to what Guruji says. Yeah. I don't know if you do it. I'm not here to judge anybody. And when we were doing the painting, Guruji's painting sale, me and Swami Parantapa, when everything finished, and we took some time to tell people why we are able to sit down for 3-4 hours and to come up with a lot of stories. Not even all ours, from other people. One is mine, I remind him of his stories, he reminds me of my stories. How can you remember all these things about your experiences with him? And it cannot be because you don't have enough experiences, because you have 24 hours as much as we do. You have your life as much as we do. And the Guru shows himself in different ways. So it's not just about what he says. I want to clarify that. It's not just when you go for darshan and he speaks to you. That's not the only word of the Guru. His books are the words of the Guru. His satsangs are the word of the Guru. When you're around him and you hear what he said, but he wasn't even talking to you, that's the word of the Guru. And we were advising the people is because maybe it's something that you need good memory in general. It's never bad. But what we do, and the reason why I remember many of them, because I'm obsessed by those stories. I'm obsessed. They're my obsession. Obsessed. It's an English word. Obsession. I am obsessed by the stories. Yeah, I'm not obsessed by other things. Well, maybe a few obsessions if I look at them. But the main one is all these stories. Because they have so much depth into it that I can keep remembering them and I can find always something new. Things that he told me 8-7 years ago, I understand them now. But if I forget them, I can't get them. I don't remember them. They're not there. And sometimes I realize something in my room and then I think, oh my God, that's what he told me 6 years ago when we were walking on the sand in Piri after going to Jagannath. And when he told me 6 years ago, it made absolutely no sense. 0 sense. Things that you look at it and you're like, I don't know, like you turn around to see whether there are other people because maybe it's talking to them, because they make no sense in that specific moment. That's the beauty of the word. It's so important. So the Guru Granth says this because for them, as we can of course understand, the Guru Granth became their life. Their living Guru. And it's all about what they said, embodying all these teachings. So the treasure of the Nam is obtained by one whose mind is filled with the word of the Guru Shabad, with the sound of the Guru, with the teachings of the Guru, with everything that the Guru is saying. And Guruji says, even when the Satguru speaks to a large crowd of people through satsangs or courses, understand one thing properly. The Satguru's words are his direct message for everyone. That is his guidance. Instead of searching for delusional things, stay strongly anchored into what the Satguru is giving. Even if one is listening to his words years later, they are still just as meaningful and full of grace. There is not diminishing. His words are the direct scriptures and manifestation of the deity upon this earth. The divine is always in movement, like the earth is forever rotating around the sun. It was during Navaratri, that's why there is Mata Kushmanda. Mata Kushmanda is forever surrounding the lotus feet of the Sadguru. Bhagavan's radiance and love always shines upon his creation. One has to truly meditate and contemplate upon the words of the Sadguru. One has to truly meditate upon the names of Bhagavan. Through his words, he gave us the mantra. He gave us the name of the divine. Me also, maybe some of you do, but I don't understand what a great treasure it is. I almost feel sometimes I'm not equipped. I don't have the tools to understand what a grace it is to have the mantra. I know how much it changed my life. I know how many lives it changed, but I can't grasp how much grace there is, because I'm surrounded by other people and are surrounded by people who have that. And the mind can't think in so much big terms, and therefore I kind of think that is normal at one point. We lose grasp on how much important it is, what a gigantic treasure it is, because if we have it, for sure we will want to understand it more, live it more, do it more, and it will bring it to the others. That's where you can become, in a way, positive way, of course, I'm not talking about bad obsessions, but this beauty of giving it to the others. Give the mantra to other people. Help them. Give them what helped you so much and give it to the others. Send them the satsangs. Tell them what Guruji says. But you have to know what Guruji says. Yeah, that's the important thing. You have to know what he teaches. You have to know what he's saying. All the educational programs, these lectures, Guruji talking constantly and so many times repeating the same thing to us is for us to actually get it and be able to bring it also to other people and then redirect them to him so that they can have that experience. And his light can turn on their light and their darkness can leave them because the Sadguru is bringing the light in their life. And so when we talk about Guru HarGobind Ji, just in conclusion, we understand that his life was dedicated to bring those values and morals and the tradition into practical things, to make people be strong, to embody that belief that they had, the faith that they had, to bring it out, not being scared, to have the courage to stand for what they believed, and to live those teachings, to live those things about the saints, staying with them, the name of God, the word of the Guru. He was embodying all these things. And when Guruji says that he wants us to be saints, I think that's where he's going towards. He says, I don't want to just talk. Talking is easy. I can give you my notes. I give you my notes. I would say confidently, half of you could just stand here tomorrow. It's not that much. It's like watching a movie or reading a story. There are 4 battles, a few ideas to understand, and then you can just stand here and do exactly what I said. It's not about talking. It's about not being an hypocrite when you speak. It's about embodying those teachings, being real in your spiritual path. And I stand here not because I have that strength, because I'm also an hypocrite. But the beauty is that Guruji accepts us for the way we are, and he's always there ready to help us develop. Yeah. None of us here is perfect, and we all go for darshan. He looks at everybody, he accepts everybody, and he's always guiding you. And that's the beautiful thing, the development of that idea that goes beyond your mind, that whatever he's doing it for you. When he's sweet and when he shouts. When he tells you yes, And when he tells you no, it's always for you. So the effort that I see these hundreds of years of the Sikhs developing that strength, the more you look into it, is that concept of, as Guruji was saying, you can have doubts, but don't follow them and be strong in those beliefs. Invest so much that there's no space for the rest. That's what I try to do, so you're welcome to join. I don't know if you're doing it already, but this works if you keep remembering why you do it, if you keep remembering the beauty of the teachings, the beauty of what it gives, the experiences you had. Remember why you follow him. Remember why you are in Bhakti Marga. Remember why you decided to come here now. Remember those strong, wonderful experiences you had that made you make all the choices that you made to be here, to follow him, to listen to him, and on all of this. Because the real conclusion is this from yesterday. We were talking, and the main point was, what he gave me is so much more than anything else I ever had. It's so much more. We're talking about anything in the world. Drugs, alcohol, parties, friends, women, sex, anything. It was always a disappointment. I know that it's empty. There's a part inside of me that I can't actually rationalize for all of you. I know it's empty, but I know that until I met him in this reality here, for me there was almost nothing. I met him and he gave me a reason to actually stay here, to do. And it is the concept we spoke about today, service, help the others. This is what I believe Guruji is teaching us, and that's, I believe, what and why they were so strong and powerful and mighty, and they managed to win so many battles and to defend so many people, because they were so clear and strong. And they had that sense of duty of, I'm here to serve others, the Guru, and to find who I truly am and God. They had that strength. And I hope these lectures and remembering what Guruji tells about them and finding the parallels will help us understand how to contextualize them into our tradition, and also how to be inspired by them and understanding why Guruji speaks about them so much. Jai Gurudev.